How do you go from washing cars to being the top salesman at your car dealership? Today I'm interviewing Jake, who sells Fords at Crossroads of Ford Apex. And today he shares with me how he was able to come from a lot attendant, somebody who cleans cars for the dealership, to being the #1 salesman at his car dealership, all at the young age of 22 years old. Hey, thanks so much for being on the show, Jake.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
I really appreciate you reaching out. You know, the video you had sent me was really intriguing. You said you've only been selling cars for about 2 years now. Been at the dealership for 4, which we'll talk about here in a moment. But you've been at the dealership for 2 years, and you're the top salesman there, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Wow, I love that. And, you know, right before we got on this recording here, you had mentioned that you sold a car on your off day while you were driving to go look at houses that you're going to buy.
Yep.
And, you know, never judge a book by its cover. But I think it's that type of tenacity is why you're the top salesman at your dealership, because I know a lot of sales guys that won't even answer the phone or give out their cell phone, let alone sell a car while they're driving around looking at houses. Is that pretty normal for you?
It is, believe it or not. I don't really have an off day, unfortunately. This phone's constant. I just had customers text me every day. Like one day I was laying in bed in the morning, sold an Explorer Transit van to a guy in Chicago, and I'm in North Carolina. So it's always interesting to see that there's really no day off, unfortunately. But
no, I hear you. And I love giving out my cell phone. There are days it gets really overwhelming though. And, you know, everyone says, oh, you're going to burn yourself out. And I don't think I ever will. And maybe I will one day, maybe I won't, but I'm going to give it my all, you know. So I guess I give everyone my cell phone, you know, just reach me like you're my friend. You know, I'm glad that you're doing.
I don't mind. Yeah, it's always fun. It's like, even if you're not buying a car from me, it's still nice to learn what you're doing and kind of meet you.
So you've been at the dealership for 4 years. What dealer group are you with again? Remind me.
Crossroads Automotive Group, just based out of North Carolina.
Okay, down North Carolina. So you've been selling for 2 years, working there for 4 years. What were you doing prior to selling cars?
I was the lot porter. So I made sure every car was lined up. I made sure every Starbucks order was filled. You know, every car in the showroom had a sticker, or every car was perfectly aligned. That's all I did for 10 hours a day. And I absolutely loved it because I like cars. So while I was doing that, I kind of learned everything about everything. I learned where everything is in the dealership, where every car's parked, why every car has this button, what, you know, other things like that. And then I also did the social media, which I still continue to do. So I do our TikTok and our Instagram. So that's kind of what I do.
No, I love it. And I bet that lot's never been as straight since the day you stopped doing it.
I'm telling you, you can ask anybody I work with. My camera roll, I have a specific album designated to my OCD lines, and it was perfect. So
no, we had a guy like that kept the lot like super straight. We do an okay job at my dealership, but there was that one guy who was just like, he would go repark a car if you just parked it and it wasn't perfect.
Yep. Yeah, I still do that. Yeah. Yep.
So what made you take the jump from parking cars to selling cars?
It was really my GM. So I actually had no interest to sell cars. I wanted to be a cop for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
I actually had the police academy set up for August. This was in 2 years ago. So it was like May by the time I had started selling cars. Yeah. And I had the academy set up for August, ready to graduate and become a law enforcement officer in December. But my GM was like, just do it for, you know, this 4 months, see how you like it. It was really, I was like, no, because I'm going to get too distracted and I mean, full transparency, the money is why I got distracted. That's really how that goes for everybody.
He knew what he was doing.
Yes, he did. Yep. So the first month, my first day on the floor, I sold. I had no prior experience. I knew everything about the cars, and I came from working at Chick-fil-A, so I love people.
Yeah.
My first person I upped was a former teacher, Miss Smith.
Oh, perfect.
So it was great to even see her, and I had no idea she was coming in. That was my first car I ever sold. I sold on my first day. I didn't know how to negotiate. My hands were shaking when I was presenting a pencil, so I didn't know anything about that. So I really, and then the rest of the week, I sold 2 more cars. So my first week in sales, I sold 3 cars. And then ever since then, it's been Earlier before I got into the internet sales, I was on the floor. So I was averaging 10 to 15. And then now in internet, I'm 20 to 30 averagely. So it's very, very interesting.
Now, when did you, and you said too, and I want to clarify, you are the top salesman at your dealership, pretty much month in, month out.
Yep. I've sold the most units year to date this year so far.
So when did that transition happen where you were like, humbly, I'm the top dog now? Like this.
There really isn't. Everybody calls me the golden boy at work, which is really funny because I just have such a good relation with all my team members and every customer that I think I've gotten one bad survey in my entire realm. Maybe not one, but like 2 or 3. But I get a lot of when I first started, I'll be honest, I got a lot of house deals. Those were great. Like, I'm never going to complain about those. A lot of free bone deals. Everybody loves those. Yeah. But ever since then, I've learned and I've grown my referrals, and I live solely off of social media posts, people inquiring on a phone, and referrals. So I'm never not busy, which I love. So
yeah, so you're 22 years old, the top salesman at your dealership, and you're doing it with a good attitude too, which is extremely important, because even myself, sometimes, especially at a younger age, I would really butt heads with people and, sometimes be a little arrogant and rub people the wrong way. And that's the way to go about it. And I don't think I act like that like I used to, but definitely, I was in your shoes at one point, 22, 23, top salesman, get out of my way. And the fact that you're doing this all with a good attitude is extremely impressive. Your family must be extremely proud of you.
I'd hope so. No, I have a very good support system. My dad was a realtor, so he's taught me some good negotiating skills on that aspect. My mom's been working with, the elderly for like the last 30 years. So she runs a senior living company. So I've never not enjoyed people, and I've never not liked talking about numbers. So even though my grade in math was a flat C, I can still close you on any payment, So.
Yeah. No, so you're getting most of your traffic through social media and phone ups, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about the social media for a second. I know you're running the dealership social media, so that is run one more time, Apex Ford, or
yes, it's Crossroads Ford in Apex.
Crossroads Fords in Apex. Now you run their social media channels. Now you do that all by yourself?
Yep. So I take the pictures, I take the videos, and I post them all.
Now, does that mean anyone who inquires through the social media, you just get by default, right?
In theory, yeah, and eBay leads too. I handle all those, even though I don't run the eBay. I still take the leads for it. But what's funny is everybody always laughs, but I drive a Raptor. That's like my truck, and I'm in a Raptor group. So it's all of the majority, almost every month, I'm at 2 or 3 different off-road trucks, that's from my forum. So everybody that is in that forum, that's like a good 14,000 people that are just in this forum.
So I drive Fords.
Right. So really, if somebody totals something, somebody gets stolen, or somebody needs any vehicle, my name is the first one that's pinned to the group. So it's really not, I live on that too, which is fantastic.
And that's, and I did a podcast yesterday, which I highly encourage you to watch when it comes out. I did it with a gentleman named Ollie Rita. He is actually the world's best car salesman. He has the world record for most cars sold in a year, 1,582. He sold 202 cars last month, and his record is 32 cars a day.
What does he sell?
Chevys and Cadillac.
Poor guy.
But to your point, yeah, right, yeah. I didn't say it yesterday, but I'm a Ford guy, But to your point, he said the number one most important thing is relationship-based selling, and being involved in a community to sell more cars within that community. And it has to be authentic. You can't just like, all right, I'm going to go to church because there's lots of people there that can buy cars. You got to be like, authentic about it. And what you're saying right now in a group of 14,000 Ford Raptor drivers, and you have a Ford Raptor, and as you told me, you said you got that thing airborne a couple times.
Yeah, it's actually my lock screen on my phone. Is that here? Hold on. Is that thing in there?
Is that the high? You've gotten it higher than that, I bet.
I have, but then my warranty would be voided, so I'm not going to show you that.
Voided warranty and proof.
Exactly. Exactly.
What year's your Raptor?
It's a 24, so I just bought it.
So you're 22 years old and drive a 2024 Ford Raptor. Well, how much was that new?
It was I got a good employee discount, but it's stickered for 81.
And they don't do D plan, so you had
No, they do not. No, they do not. My GM is a very nice guy. Thank you, Scott.
What's your payment on it? Come on, tell me.
It's I just refinanced it again because PNC Bank sucks, but it was originally $590. So
your payment was only $590.
Yeah, I had another 2018 Raptor before this, but
okay. So you had some equity.
It was paid off. Yeah.
Okay, nice. I was gonna hammer you a bit, give you some big brother advice. I was waiting for you to say like 1,800, where I was trying to buy a house and you got an $1,800 car payment.
No, it's a little higher now. I just refinanced it, but it'll be paid off soon.
Like a shorter term.
Yeah.
That's smart.
But you were saying that a good group of people to sell to. It's funny is one of our there's a pretty big neighborhood in Apex that our GM lives in, and he had passed out his card to I think everybody in that neighborhood. So it's probably like twice or 3 times a month there's somebody from that neighborhood in buying cars, and there's like a specific set of people that just do those deals. And thankfully I get to be one of them, which is really nice. So your name travels fast when you take good care of people, which is really nice. So that is another good aspect to working with nice people.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time the owner of my dealership, I was like this is like 5 years ago. I was like option number 4 to help his like customers. Like there was like the main guy, the backup lady, another guy, and another guy. And everyone just happened to be extremely busy. And he was like, "Hey Russ, can you help this customer?" And I was like, "This is my chance. It's my time to shine. I'm gonna take one of the owner of the stores, Mr. Biondi's customer. I'm gonna give them experience of a lifetime." And I did. And I haven't said to the guy, because sometimes you gotta like go on a whim and say, "Hey, please tell Mr. Biondi how good of a job I did. It means a lot to me." And he did. And I might have went from number 4 to number 3, or maybe right up to number 2.
A win is a win. It doesn't matter how big.
And then you eventually become that guy, and it's like. I say to people all the time, they're like, "Oh, you get all the owners' deals, you get the managers' deals." And it's like, okay, I like to use this analogy. Let's say it's the Super Bowl and you got to get 1 yard to win the game. Are you giving it to your 4th string running back, or are you just giving it to your stud? And that's how
I'm going to use that. That's a good. I like that. It's a good analogy.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this guy's probably buying no matter what, but let's not take a chance. Let's just give it to the best guy we got. You know what I mean?
No, I like that. I'm stealing that, so that'll be good.
Yeah, you can use that next time you get a flip from your manager.
I'll probably use that tomorrow. Yeah. So you work for which dealership? Do you work for the Lincoln, or is it a Ford and Lincoln?
I'm strictly Lincoln. So I work for a Lincoln dealership in Pittsburgh. We always sell as brand new. We know we do used cars, of course, but just new Lincoln. So I don't got the Fords to lean on.
Well, but didn't you buy a Maverick?
Yeah, I do. I do have a Maverick. I love my Maverick.
Yeah. That thing's sweet. We can't ever keep those. We never get them in the first place because they're so hard to find. Yeah,
I was surprised when I bought mine. Lincolns are marked up pretty nice, but the Maverick that I bought was marked up $120 from invoice.
Yeah, there's no profit in a Maverick. That's why everybody, whenever they come and buy one, is like, "I want to pay this," and you're like, "Sorry, no, thank you."
No thanks. Yeah, and then it kind of made sense to me, and I get the thought process. Ford wants to sell like the world's cheapest truck.
Yeah.
Dealers want to make money, and it's like a hard battle of like, you have this truck, the Ford Maverick, that people are dying to buy. So extremely popular. Demand is high, supply is low. And how do you stomach only making $100? So I get why dealers were charging over MSRP. I mean, it sucks, but it makes sense too. It's like, we're going to make $100 selling like the most popular truck you can buy, if you even want to consider it a truck. But
more of like a little Explorer with a bed. But yeah.
SUT, sport utility truck.
Yeah, but no, it's whenever we didn't do any markups on customer orders, so everybody got to order MSRP. But then whenever we would have one available, we would of course charge the market value on them, which lasted for a little bit, and now it's below market value. So
you can get a deal on a Maverick now, maybe not a base one.
Yeah, but virtually every new car. I mean, we're taking $8,000 off of Super Duties. So, I mean, I've never once seen that in my life ever.
Yeah. So you came into the industry in an interesting time. So you started 2 years ago, where you could walk in the store, sell a F-250, $5,000 over sticker, make all this money, easiest deal, and now you got to actually sell.
You got to
And
work.
you earn the customer's business. How has that transition been for you? Being that you started when it was really easy, and I wouldn't say maybe just because I'm decent at what I do. I wouldn't say right now it's really hard, but I sold cars well before COVID, so this is just normal for me. How has that been for someone like you? You're still selling 20, 30 cars, so you're doing it, but how's that change been?
Well, I will say I actually didn't get to sell. I started right as the markup stopped. So I never got to experience the COVID check, as everybody at my dealership calls it. Everybody needed cars, and you weren't taking anything off of anything, and people were getting, but the rates were better. So those were always good. But I got to learn negotiating on a sticker price. So I never got the luxury of selling one over. Now here and there, like, I did get the pleasure to sell a Raptor R at over sticker. That was, I won't lie, that was nice. But the concept of learning how to negotiate is really fun. I've learned a couple of things from a couple of different, from a couple of your videos, or a couple of, I know everybody hates Andy Elliott, but some of his lines are okay. Maybe not the way that he does things, because I'm not a fan of Andy Elliott, but being relaxed and worrying about the sale after they like the car has been huge for me. Like connecting, I think from your videos, one of your videos was you stayed later to somebody that had no interest to buy, and ended up selling them. I think it was like their husband or whatever. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, I actually remember that video, because that guy's bought 2 cars off me since then.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I'd never even thought about that. Like, everybody dreads when you see a car pull in at 2 minutes before you close, when in reality that could be, your next car payment, or your next, whatever. So that to me was always interesting to watch and now learn from. And now I will say some customers are an absolute pain in the butt to negotiate with, and those who know understand the people that are hard to negotiate with. But other than that, it's just an experience. Like, there's nothing like it until you're actually doing it. So it's a little hard to explain, other than I don't have to sell you the car, but I want to, type deal.
Yeah. Have you sold a new car at a loss yet?
Pretty much every Mach-E we sell, we lose about $33,000 on. Tomorrow I'll be selling an F-350 somehow that we lose money on, but I'm okay with that, because it's a unit at that point. And
it's an interesting mindset shift from, you were just selling a sticker and you're just like, here's the deal.
Yep.
And now it's like, wow, we're losing money? That's crazy.
Yeah, well, it's okay though, because I don't really mind, because we get flat deals anyway. So, at that point, after you've nickel and dime me for everything I have in my life, I'll just take the flat, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, unit's a unit, And like, I'll never forget, I had a customer not too long ago, actually. Beat me up to the very penny, and it was like to the point where I was like, dude, I don't even know if this is worth my time. Like, this is just taking too long. Like, forget, like, if he would have just came in and said, like, here's what I want to pay, and we got there super, but it took like an hour and a half of like paperwork, and I'm like, and then he literally goes home. He bought the car, goes home, brings his wife up and buys a car, and didn't negotiate a penny.
Well, maybe he doesn't care about his wife as much. But it is always interesting though, because the ones that you typically nickel and dime with are always returning customers, which I've learned pretty extensively.
Yeah, and I like to believe he came back and just paid more because he liked me at that point. And then there's no secret. People know how we get paid. So when they pay more, they know what they're paying for. You're paying for me, thank you.
Except if it's a Maverick, because there's nothing on that.
Yeah, right.
But it was always funny is I do have a couple of returning customers every month that buy almost every month, which is really, really nice. And those are even though they are, pretty smart with their financial decisions, it is always fun to learn on the different vehicles they buy and how they spend and invest their money, because they may have for lack of a better term, like they're rich, but they're very, smart with how they negotiate and what they pay and what they're not going to pay, which I've always respected pretty heavily, because that's something that if I ever got to that point, I would probably be that. And I think my girlfriend would be a little upset with the amount of cars that I would buy if I was that way.
So you have people come buy a car off you every month. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I won't say his name, but I'm sure he'll watch the podcast. He owns a pretty big trucking company. And every month it's always, whether it's a sports car or a Super Duty, and he is in and out of the car pretty much every month. Doesn't really make a first payment type deal, which I would love that life. But he hasn't bought one for me this month, so I'm a little heartbroken. I hope he didn't break up with me, but
right.
You know, I don't know how I'm going to feed my family this month, you know, type deal. I might have to
text.
I'm
going to try to get this podcast posted before the end of the month. Then you can send it to him, and then you can tell him, like, find the point in the video, like, make sure you watch this part.
Yeah. No, but he's a super great guy. He is a big car guy. So whether he buys from me or another dealership, I always nerd out on what he buys, because I always find it interesting to learn about other cars that I don't sell. So I'm able to still talk about them if I ever do get the chance to sell one, or if I ever come up on one on the street. You know, my neck breaks pretty much at every nice car that passes me.
You're a real car guy, huh?
Yeah, I'd say that as an understatement. I am a huge car guy.
What's your girlfriend drive?
Oh, you know, a little Honda Civic, but it gets the job done. That's okay. That's why we drive the Raptor everywhere. So.
That's a Japanese car.
Yeah, well, listen, she wants a little K truck, so we're trying to find one around here. But she doesn't like. She thinks car notes are dumb, which is always interesting because she's big into financing. So to learn her perspective on what she thinks about car loans or the way people spend money at car dealerships is always interesting to learn, because she saves people from bad financial decisions, and I create bad financial decisions. And has
there ever been a time where, like, she was helping somebody who was looking at a car off you?
Not yet. That's why I have to slide her some money on the side, so she, you know, so she can throw some people my way.
You know what, Mr. Customer, that is a great decision. 84 months, 17.84.
Oh my goodness, that reminds me. We just, you know, Fisker Ocean, that brand.
Yeah.
We just had a gentleman trade one in and was like $30K flipped on it because they had just filed for bankruptcy.
Yeah.
And he traded in on a Mach-E because they're currently running like 15K off. Well, this was last month. 15K off, 0% interest, and I mean it was super good deal. And that was always interesting.
Trade?
I'm sorry.
You guys took that in on trade?
We did, and we're not selling it because that's going right to the auction, because that is not a car that we really want to touch.
How much did you give them for it?
I think it only had like 6,000 miles, and ACV on it was like 25 grand, which really, and he owed, you know, almost, I think he owed 60 grand on it. So it's a little bit more than 30 actually.
Oh.
And really, I mean, it wasn't, and again, I can speak for a lot. It's holding anything on a trade-in when there's negative equity means absolutely 0 cents at all. So we even tried to get him, we had to over allow a little bit to get the bank to approve it, just to kind of get that deal done, which was interesting to learn because, you know, even though we lost some money on the Mach-E, we still got the deal done and took in a car that really it probably won't exist in a year or two. And brand new.
So you got Ford Motor Credit bought that deal?
Somehow.
Buy deep right now.
When it's Mach-E's, they'll buy anything.
They won't go on.
Yeah, which is always cool though, because you get a spin card, so you get a little card from Ford, which I think maybe Lincoln does. It's like a spiff.
Yeah, Lincoln just does. They're like flats based on volume, so it's like 200, 250, 350, up to 475.
Yeah, they were. I think Ford at one point was paying $500 on a little spin card, which I'll just kind of I'll block out my information, but it's blue and it has the Ford logo on it.
Yeah,
and they would give you that for selling a Mach-E. And like one month I had sold like 4 Mach-E's, and I was like, this is great, you know, whatever money. Yeah, so it was Ford's really nice about that, which is pretty cool.
So your GM, he sounds like a mentor to you. Is that correct?
I would say that almost all of my managers are, except the ones that sometimes I don't get along with, which that's to be expected. But he definitely is a nice guy. I'd say the real mentor to me was actually one of the commercial directors. So our commercial department is number 2 in the nation for Ford. And when I was a lot porter, his name's Greg Treadway. He's like a complete, I don't know if I can curse, but he's a badass. He is the epitome of like what I want to be when I grow up. He's just a great guy. And he just taught me the art of like being, once you create that bond and you can you can just tell the customer no and like be honest with them.
Yeah.
And sometimes, car salesmen do get that bad rap for lying or being dishonest. That's actually the thing that I cannot stand is hiding money on a trade-in or not being truthful in kind of what we do in our ways, which I have called some people out on, which I'm okay with that because I don't mind. I care more about the relationship with the customer than I do about the car, and I do think that guy helped me out with that. So I owe a lot to him.
You and some of your managers don't get along. You're too honest.
Yes, that I would say that's a downside of me. The managers we got right now are fantastic, so I can't really complain. But there was one that recently just doesn't work here anymore, and I'm okay with that. And that was why
you're so good with your words. You're very choosy. You're like,
I gotta be careful. I gotta be careful because I gotta keep the nice guy look to me. Like I can't be mean.
Like I freaking hated him. I'm so happy.
I didn't get along with him. We'll just end it at that.
That's awesome.
He was a great mentor. I don't talk to him as much anymore because I'm very busy now. But anytime I kind of like want to, he's the type of guy that you can say, "Hey, sweet cheeks," or "Hey, buttercup," and he'll just like insult you like immediately. And you learn how to. He's soft, but he's hard when it comes to customers. So. I enjoy learning from him.
Now, car sales can be like it has a negative connotation to it, and how did your family and friends, and I don't know if you were dating your girlfriend at the time or just people in your life at the time were like, you're going to sell cars? Like, you're a loser. Like, did you get that from your, because I kind of got that from people. They're like, dude, like, you're like smart and you did good in high school. Like, what do you mean you're not going to go to college and sell cars? Like, are you crazy? And little they know how much money do we make. I mean, I'm pretty open about it, but it's like, did you get that?
I got that from, like I said, I was pretty gung ho on being a cop. I had so many connections that I still have today. I had so many people do several things for me. Like I had my name dropped with the chief of police in my local department. I had a ride along set up with, and I got to do a bunch of stuff. And I had a couple of those references. That was kind of a little sad because I had kind of like done all that. And then, unfortunately I went,
hey chief, I just made your salary last month. Sorry, I can't come work for you.
In reality, yes, but I would never say that. No, I'm just kidding. But no, it was definitely, that was the really only the one that I was like, damn, that's kind of sad. But my dad loves sales. He actually doesn't want me to be a cop. So he wants me to do sales full time. And my mom just likes that I love what I do because I don't find it to be work. Like I, of course, everybody dreads going to work, but the moment I'm there and I get to see that currently in our showroom, we have a 1993 GT Mustang with 196 miles on it with the original plastic still inside of it. Like I get to work around that.
What do you guys deal with that?
Our owner went on Bring a Trailer and just went ham. And so we got a Parnelli Jones edition. I mean, if you go on Instagram, it's all on there. We just got a GT350R 2017 with 343 miles on it, without the tech package. So it doesn't have AC, doesn't have rear seats, doesn't have anything, which is super cool. So
no air conditioning?
Nope. We have a 2017 Ford GT with 12 miles on it. So the fact that I get to work around cars that I've seen in pictures or that I've some of them I've gotten to drive, which have just been a pleasure. Because they trust me to maneuver some of them. So that's
put in a application for the Ford GTD.
Yeah, I did too, and I didn't hear anything back.
I didn't hear anything back. Would you actually buy it if you won?
God no, I don't have $325,000.
Neither do I. But I was like, I have like two friends that do, and I was like, we'll get this. Like, we have to get it. Like
I didn't even think about that. I guess I maybe could have if they had responded.
I didn't get anything back either, but I have two friends that are like, okay, like if it happens, like they're cool with buying it and like holding on to it. And
Well, they're going to
storing
make you
it.
sign an agreement. Our GM just went and saw it in Vegas, and they make you sign. I think it's a 3-year agreement. Same with the Ford GT that you can't sell it, or else they seize it from you, which is always interesting.
No, we were I was well aware of that. I think it was John Cena who tried selling or did sell his
No, John Cena did sell his Ford GT and got hit with a big ass lawsuit. Yep.
Yeah. So I said that to both my buddies, like, we're gonna have to keep this. Like, this is like an investment, like, and I'll try to capitalize on the only thing I can do is try to make some money off social media with it. Maybe I can use that to pay you back.
Right. I saw one of your videos. You make more on social media than you do in car sales.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's insane. I mean, social media nowadays, you can virtually get anything out to anywhere.
Yeah, and I'm blessed. I have a good team surrounded by me, like on the social media side of things, and they really look after me, and they know how to get money from companies. So I don't know how to describe it because it was not always this way. This is like a new thing for me, but
it seems exciting. And I didn't realize how young you were, so that makes up for because you're so young. You're probably pretty social media oriented.
Yeah, it makes it super easy. Like, it's funny how like some people have like no clue how to do it or like understand it. It was like my one social media manager was like, he's like, hey, I think I have a company that's going to sponsor you. You think you could just put them on your banner on your social media pages? I was like, what do you mean banner? He's like, like on your Instagram and your TikTok, like your banner. I'm like, they don't have banners on there. I was like, maybe they did on MySpace. I don't know. I think Facebook has a banner, YouTube, but like not Instagram, TikTok. He's like, oh, I'll circle back with them. I'll let them know.
Yeah, no, it is a lot of my, and I'm sure everybody has this at every dealership, but half the guys on my team are pretty heavily into smoking. So, and really don't have too many phones. So I always get to do all the cool stuff, take the pictures, the videos, and none of them know how to do anything. So I'm okay with that. As long as they stay in the business, I get to do my fun things and not worry about anybody.
Do you get compensated for running the social media page?
I do not, unfortunately. I wish I did. But at that point, I run several Instagrams. So it's like again, I don't find it to be work. So any cool picture I take, I'm like, I'm going to post that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, I don't blame you, man. What was what's your best month you've had so far?
As far as car wise goes, I'd say I finished.
Units wise.
I'm sorry.
Units. How many most?
Yeah. So I finished with 29 cars. Well, that was like my best month. I think I finished. I think this month I'm pacing 31 cars. So, but my best month overall, my favorite month was when I hit 29 cars, and I got an award from my sales manager who did all my deals for me. Like he was able to close some of the people that I couldn't get closed while working other deals, and that was probably one of my favorites month because I made the most amount of money I've made ever, and that was damn, that was my favorite month.
How much did you make?
Oh man, that's a tough one to say. It was definitely my take home. I got taxes killed me, but it was like 22.
You took home $22,000?
No, I wish I took home a little bit less than that.
Nice. Yeah, you got to pay Uncle Sam, right?
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was yeah.
And then you're gonna sell 41 this month. I don't mean if you're selling cars back invoice like F350s, you might not make quite that.
Listen, I just sold the Shelby Centennial Edition, number 6 of 100, and that set me for the month, so I'm good.
That was a good one for you.
Yeah, I'm good. I could quit now if I wanted to.
You just quit? Call it a
for
year?
The month at least. I'm just kidding. No,
you're buying a house, bro. You got to keep pushing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna be broke after next week, so I'm gonna have to start, begging for money.
Now, being such a nice guy, how do you find? Because this is something I kind of used to struggle with. Mm-hmm. How do you find the fine line between profit and helping people, and not crossing that line of being greedy either? Like,
that's a very good question for you. I don't find it to be a trouble because I feel good. There's only really 2 sales I've ever really felt bad for. And thankfully, I didn't make any money on those, respectively. Just sometimes unfortunately, I'll shoot myself in the foot a couple times. Like, I'll just say, look, I know the deal's done. And I know as soon as I say this, my managers that are probably watch this are going to shake their heads at me. But if I know there's some room and that like somebody really, really like, I'm like, man, they've just been so nice. And I will give up some things just to kind of like I know it's done, but I'll just do this for you. I don't really feel that I take advantage of anybody. I have allowed myself to, regardless of the purchase price or how bad the negotiations were on whoever's part, I always find that everybody who leaves is pretty satisfied with the experience. So I really haven't had that go on. But I'd say if I do, if the customer treats me bad, I make some money, oh well, see ya.
You're counting your money as they're leaving, suckers.
Yeah, right. But
No,
I love it.
It's tough because, if somebody says to you, hey, Jake, is this your best price? And deep down, you could probably go ring your manager.
That's an Andy Elliott question right there, man.
Yeah. But it's like deep down, your manager could give you a little bit better of a deal. Are you lying if you say, yeah, this is our best price? Like, is that a lie or like?
No, I won't say that. I will say, what do you want to pay for the car? I can't stand negotiating, and I can show you 3 texts that I've done today where people have tried to be like, what can you do? I'm like, I don't do that. I can't stand this is what I'll do. I'll ask them what they want to pay. And if they don't want to pay that, I'm like, sorry, this is what I can do. Then I'll give that. But I refuse to ask or answer that question because I'll just ask them.
Don't say this over text, but I'll give you some little advice that worked for me. You have the personality to play it off. So don't text this.
Yeah.
Because you sound like a huge douchebag if you text it. But if you say it in person, they say, hey, is this the best you can do? Could you lower the price? Can you do any better? Just go. I mean, we can raise it.
Yeah, I could do that. I have said that a couple of times where they've like, oh, I wish you could do more, or like, oh, joke's on you, I would have done that first number, and then I'll be like, joke's on you, I would have done the number that you offered. That typically I'll do that, but that I will take that. I will be taking that one too.
And then sometimes too, like, I feel like I see salesmen get hung up on like fake objections. Like I had a lady the other day. We're giving her like $3,500 for a car with like 180,000 miles. And she's like, man, I really wanted $5,000. And a lot of sales guys are like, if we give you $5,000, would you buy it right now? Or, is $5,000 number? Like, and I just said, yeah, I hear you. But we're at 3,500. What payment works best for you?
Yeah.
Did you pick payment on the car? It was like, whatever,
Sure. Yeah, that's or the best part is where people like
back to it. You can always come back to the $5,000.
Yep.
But like, it didn't seem like a real objection. She was like, I was hoping to get 5. I hear you.
One of my sales guys, his name's Larry. One of his best things to say to somebody who says, somebody offered me this down the street, and be like, is there any reason why you didn't take that? He's like, because I would have taken that.
Yeah.
So he said it a couple of times, and I thought that would be brilliant to say, but I don't know. I think that's a little too mean for me. I don't.
No, but it's like, it's all situational. Like maybe you could be calling somebody's bluff. Like, hey man, if that car's available, you might want to go get that. Like that's a good deal.
Yeah.
And you say it in your own lingo, and hopefully you learn in sales it's about being a chameleon. It doesn't mean being fake, But if I'm with Mrs. Jones, who's 80 years old, it is not me being fake by just slowing down how I talk. That is not like being some like evil, manipulative salesperson. No, that's just the right thing to do. Like I'm going to slow myself down. And I'm with someone who's 25, I might just be like, rambunctious. And, that's like, some people are like, oh, that's sleazy, just always be yourself. And it's like, I always am myself. I just, I don't talk to my grandma the same way I'm talking to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get that. Hey, let me ask you, what's your demographic up there? Are people paying cash up there, or are they primarily financing?
We get a lot of cash buyers. Lincoln always has some typically, always better than we're wealthy buyers, but the rates that Lincoln offers are typically better than the market. So right now, we have 0% on aviators and navigators. We have 2.9%
on navigators. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, those overpriced expeditions, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. You mean those underpriced navigators that are lucky to share the same platform as a navigator? So you can go all day, bro.
Hey, I got a question for you. So your objection to, so I always get this question because we live in a pretty good area where people are we live in a pretty nice town. Like it's brand new almost. The cash versus finance price. What do you what's your thing to that? Because everybody's like, well, what if I pay cash? And I'm always like, then it's the same price as if you were to finance. Like, what's your thing to that people have said to you?
So I've always thought, and first off, did you just flip the script? Like, I thought this was my podcast. Now you're asking me questions.
I'm just getting the pressure off me.
Let me ask you, Jake, what do you say when somebody says they want to pay cash and get a better deal versus financing? And they say, oh, cash is king. What kind of deal can you work up from a sport? I got cash.
It's always interesting when that question arises. It's interesting when other salespeople, because we have a couple new ones starting, so they have to shadow me around for a little bit.
Yeah.
But it is always interesting to learn, because to me, financing is whatever. Like, this is going to sound really bad, but it doesn't pay it doesn't do anything to my front gross. I only get paid on the front. So if you want to pay cash or finance, cool. It really doesn't matter to me. All I know is the price is going to remain the exact same.
Yeah.
But I typically say if you're paying cash, all I request is just some $50 on the side, to get the deal done. But other than that, that's pretty much it. It really doesn't matter how you pay, as long as you pay.
Is that your biggest objection you get?
No, the biggest objection I get is, and this has actually been new this month and last month, is what else can you do for me? Which is always interesting to learn, because people think that you're going to give them more. And, to me and you, taking $1,000 or $2,000 off a car is a lot, especially when you see what they're priced at, what the cost is, and what we have in it. And you're like, I can't even give you a free tank of fuel. You've negotiated so much. But, sometimes I'll kind of play the devil's advocate, where I'll be like, I'll give you a free tank of fuel, 2 keys, and a full detail, which they get already. And normally they're like, hey, cool with me. But when it's an electric car, I tell them I'll give them free oil changes for life. That's my go-to response every time. Every time.
I like to have fun, you know what I mean? And I'll be like, you want more? Oh my God. Crazy.
I like that.
I'm always having fun. I'm always joking with people. I want to tell this story real quick. It's kind of like off track, but it just popped in my head because the guy just texted me. I had a guy buy a car that was incoming, or they'll leave a deposit on a car that was incoming. Then he continuously texted me and called me and had questions. He's like 80 years old, had a million questions. And I don't mind, whatever, no big deal. Then he came in today to tell me he didn't want the car anymore. And it was still like, all good. Like, I'm glad you came in person. You're a man, shook my hand, whatever. I'll refund your deposit.
Wait, isn't this the one where he bought down the street and he wanted to ask you questions about it?
No, that's a different story. That dude's messed up. That dude's messed up. No, this dude's a good dude. But it was crazy because this dude handed me a check for $200. So thank you for your time.
Wow.
And then he just texted me and goes, hey, Russ, did you cash that check? ... I think I'm going to come buy a Corsair tomorrow. And then he's like, never mind. You can just keep the check. I think I'm going to come buy a car anyways. I'm like, what the hell? Yeah.
Hey, I take that.
I wish every customer was like that.
Do you find, this may have to be cropped out, but do you find that people just throw you cash after you did the deal because you took such good care of them?
Not a lot of people give me money. No, I mean, I wouldn't say it happens too often.
It's happened a couple times to me, and I always find that to be an interesting thing because it's, and I hate to say this, it's almost people who get smoked every time.
The people who pay the most for the car, statistically speaking, are the happiest, and the people who pay the least feel like they never got enough.
Correct.
That's just how life works.
Unfortunately,
it's just the way it is. I don't even like negotiating with people. Like, when I buy things, I just like pay. Like, I don't even
really. No way. I just bought a mattress. Well, not too long, a couple months back. I stole that thing. I stole it.
If it's business related, like it's like real estate, or it's something that's like something I'm trying to make money on, I'm grinding to the penny. But like, if it's like for my house, or like, like something that's just like not an investment, I'm pretty easygoing as long as it's a good salesperson. I almost bought Cutco knives. You ever seen those knives where like people like cut the penny in half and like they're at the trade shows? Dude, I was like gonna buy them until I found out they were like $1,500, and then I was just like, oh, I'm sorry, dude.
You're a salesman. You've got the unlimited money glitch. You're fine.
Yeah, right.
No, it is always interesting though to see how other people sell things that's not cars.
Yeah.
Like I got to my realtor now, her license plate is sold with a $, which to me, I was like, that's genius. I love that. Apparently her closing ratio is insane, but it's always interesting to listen to her fight with the other, like the seller of the home, and to listen to her negotiate or try to throw things in. Like if you can't take some off the purchase price, can you fix this or can you throw this in or whatever?
Yeah.
And you being in sales, I assume you've probably picked on some other people doing different things and learned from that. But it is always interesting to learn to watch other people negotiate, which is always interesting to adapt to your kind of routine now, which is I always like.
No, of course. And you could always learn from every different trade. There's always someone to be learned of. And speaking of learning, Jake, I'll leave us with our final thought and question here. You know, you've been so successful in car sales and just, you said May of 2022. So let's just say 2024, 25, 26 and a half months. You're tracking with 31 cars this month. Hopefully you get over 30. I'll give you my number after this when we hang up too. Shoot me a text if you hit it. I'll be super excited for you, man.
Sure.
I'll celebrate with you. What would you say to somebody that's getting started in the business that is not seeing that traction? Your typical 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 car guy who's been doing it for 3, 4 years or just started and is nervous. What is the key to your success, and how can somebody emulate this type of success you've seen and do it themselves?
Well, one thing I would say is the people that have been in the car business for a while, I think they tend to not care once they have been in it for a while. Me being 2 years now, I find that every day is cooler than the last, whether that be I see a new car or I sell a new car or I don't sell anything that day, because you get to talk to new people every day. But I will say, though, I think all it is the ability to talk to people and have the slightest clue of what you're selling. As that emotional connection you create with whoever comes in the door will help you out so much more whenever you're showing them the car or negotiating with the numbers. Like if there's a family come in, I'll show them how the second row folds down on an Expedition, which folds down unbelievably fast that I say, like, if the kid's just misbehaving back there, just hit that button. And then when I hit it, it
will fold your kid in half.
Oh my God. It literally will. And it almost gets a laugh out of them like every time. Or some of Ford's cars have bottle openers. So if you ever need like a Capri Sun or, an orange juice here, because I can't say alcohol or whatever. And that, as long as I love to laugh. And I think that if you're not having fun at work, you're doing it wrong. If you're solely there for the money, it's going to kill you because you're always going to be chasing the gross or throw yourself out of a deal, which will kill you. Like we have a new guy starting. I've been working with him. He's pretty gung ho on starting to make some money, and he's been shadowing me around. And the money will come, but the experience won't if you're all about the money, which is something that I've learned. So I think the biggest piece of advice I would give is to learn the car and really just create the bond before you sell them on the car, which people come in and be like, hey, what are you looking at? Oh, I'm looking at Explorer. Okay, we'll come out here. On the way to the Explorer, I will know what they do for work. I will know where they live.
Yes.
I will know,
yes.
I will know how many people they plan on carrying the car at all times. I'll know what they'll be using it for, and that's all within the steps to the car. So I will know pretty much everything except their social security number and their mother's maiden name by the time they
start squeaking that in there. And how many kids will be in the car and your social security number?
yeah, and your mother's maiden name, please. So I can write that.
Hey, if they give that to you, I think you got to buy her.
Yeah. Hey, you have no idea. I've had some weird things. Customers have asked me to lay in the back of a car to make sure that I would fit if they camp in it. I'll do anything for the sale. You know what I mean? But there's a threshold I'll meet. But no, it's definitely the bond that's most important.
I love that. So. That's funny. But hey, thanks so much for being on, Jake. We're going to talk afterwards here because we're going to wait for this to download anyways. But thanks so much for being on. You are an anomaly, 22 years old, top of your car dealership. You have a bright, bright, bright future ahead of you. Don't ever let that charisma and that attitude you ever have fade away. Don't let any cranky people you work with wear you down. Just continue to be the Jake that you've always been, and you'll be doing 40, 50 cars by the time you're 30, guaranteed, man, especially at a high volume Ford store. I totally believe it. Yeah, you're going to do so good in this industry. And anyone watching, try to be like Jake. Jake is like the definition of a young, good salesperson. It's ridiculous. You know, this guy's insane. I can tell just talking to him here. But if you're like Jake and you want to be on my podcast, hit the link in one of my bios, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, doesn't matter. It'll all take you to a link where you can submit an application to be on my podcast. And I'll pick you if you talk like Jake, because Jake came into the video with energy. Some of you guys sell 40, 50 cars. You got no energy. And I don't want to talk to a dud for an hour. So I'll talk to somebody who's doing 20, 30 cars for an hour that has room to grow in the future and has positive vibes versus somebody who, you know, is kind of boring. So just keep that in mind as you send me videos, guys. But hey, thanks so much for watching the show.